So, but he's gonna come to Miami. We're meeting in Miami in June. So it's really nice. So maybe that's like a
Good afternoon, everyone. The meeting will come to order. Senators, thanks for already taking your seats. Welcome to all the staff senators and to our guests who may be tuning in online. As a reminder to any guests and those online for our bylaws, only staff senators who are present in person are allowed to speak during these general body meetings, and those guests that we have invited. We are going to call the meeting to order at 3:02 p.m. As you may notice, I'm not President Burkett. He is sick. And so as your vice president, it's my pleasure to take over today's general body meeting and lead it for you all. I do not have the, what is that called? Gavel. So call to order 3:02. Start with our roll call. Secretary Taylor, have you completed your attendance roll call? All right. And let me minimize that again. There we go. Parliamentarian McCormick, do we have a quorum present?
Yes, we have met quorum.
All right, the parliamentarian has informed me that a quorum has been established to conduct the business of the day. We will start with the approval of minutes. Jessica Mackey sent out the minutes from last month. All of our staff senators should have received and reviewed those minutes. Are there any additions or revisions from last month's meeting minutes? Is there a motion to approve April's minutes? Senator Dotter, thank you. Is there a second? Senator Mead, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. No. All right, thank you. The ayes have it. We're working on it. As with every general body meeting, we will begin by reviewing the staff senate purpose, which is to create an open forum to facilitate communication, engage staff and explore solutions, promote a positive campus climate, participate in service work, and to propose and support programs. The staff senate is not intended as a vehicle to address individual issues. It is intended to be a group gathered in the meaningful purpose of providing a voice to the many individuals that compose the staff of the university. All of these aspects will be demonstrated and celebrated at our Staff Appreciation Day this Thursday. There we go. I hope you're all excited as I am. And so your grounding quote for this week is to keep calm because Staff Appreciation Day is Thursday. Just a few other reminders per the Staff Senate bylaws, as I mentioned. Staff senators and invited guests are allowed to speak in person. And when you are speaking, please remember to be recognized by providing your name and the unit division you represent, especially to our guest speakers, so they know who you are and know who you are representing. We do have quite a busy agenda today with a lot of exciting opportunities to share, 2 guest speakers, and a handful of bylaw revisions. So I will begin with the Vice President's report. As far as information goes, a lot is happening in campus leadership news. There are 2 executive searches underway. The Vice President for Marketing and the Vice President for Human Resources and Organizational Excellence. The second one, the semifinalist candidates interviews have concluded. Progress for each of these, for those interested, can be found online. That's something I learned this year through this role. I wanted to share that information with you all. You can see who's on the committee, their meeting times, agenda, minutes, things like that. Very helpful for us to keep a pulse on what's going on in that executive leadership space. Dr. Christopher Culbertson has been named Dean of the McCausland College of Arts and Sciences, effective July 1st of this year. Semifinalist candidate interviews for the Dean of the School of Medicine, Columbia, have concluded. An executive search firm is accepting applications for the Dean of the College of Nursing. On-campus interviews for the Associate Vice President and Vice Provost for Global Affairs are projected for this month. Applications are in the reviewing stage for the Faculty Director of the Capstone Scholars Program. Dr. Phyllis McGilvery, I apologize if I did not say that correctly, just learned about me stepping in today. So Dr. Phyllis, if you're online, reach out. They've been named the Dean of the School of Medicine, Greenville. And finally, Dr. Pearson Brown has been named the inaugural Director of System Strategy and Operations in the USC Office of System Affairs. Lots of moving parts with our executive and leadership. And as staff senate, it's always a great idea to know who these folks are and think if any of these would be great speakers, let your executive committee know. We'd be happy to invite them to learn more about them and their roles and how we can work together. For those who may not be aware, the compliance deadline for ADA has been pushed to April 26, 2027. For our continuing senators and those who are newly elected, I am so excited to remind you that our staff senate orientation will be held Tuesday, June 23rd at 737 Gateway. Your incoming Vice President, Anna and I went and toured the place and we're really excited. If you haven't been, it's a great space. So really hope that you are all able to attend. You will have an email for RSVP sent to you soon by Jessica Mackey, so please make sure you complete that. And in our next upcoming general body, we won't have any speakers per se. We're going to take that time to recognize the staff senators who made up the 2025 through 2026 term. Moving on from information, opportunities. Our own professional development committee has partnered with the AI champions and educators here on campus to support the AI Basics for Staff Senate series. This is a 3-part series that they talked to you about, so I will not steal their thunder, and they may mention it again today. But do know that registration is encouraged, may be required, and that link will be sent out again in the follow-up email that's sent by either me or President Burkett. I'll again let them elaborate when they come up. The Student Affairs and Academic Support is holding the Aspire and Advance Conference, which is open to all university staff as well as those of other higher education institutions in the area. Important thing to know about this is it is held on July 23rd and 24th, but you were supposed to go to one of the 2 days. So don't get confused there. I certainly did while looking at it online. So it is open to all staff throughout the USC system, and registration is open now and it closes May 22nd. The registration link will be included in the follow-up email. It's also online. As always, with staff senators, we want to support our USC community as a whole, and with the incoming class getting ready to start orientation. That means that in fall of this year, there are lots of opportunities to volunteer, specifically in collaboration with our housing office, everything from distributing shirts to greeting First Light Carolina and much more. Registration link will be sent in the follow-up email. So if you're able to contribute to our community that way by volunteering your time and energy and welcoming faces and smiles, please do. As someone who does orientation and welcome students, we thank you. And definitely not least, Staff Appreciation Day is this Thursday. Woo! As you may have noticed in one of the most recent USC Todays, HR did support sending the message that supervisors should be encouraging their staff to attend Staff Appreciation Day and supporting them in any way possible. We've done a lot behind the scenes, both with the Staff Appreciation and Recognition Committee and both of the executive liaisons on that committee, President Burkett and Secretary Taylor, to make sure that staff from all walks of life and campuses are able to attend. And we do need you there. We hope that you'll make sure that you've signed up on that volunteer spreadsheet that's been sent out. It will be sent out again on that follow-up email. It's also important to know that the Staff Excellence Awards are being held that morning, which is really exciting. But that does mean that President Burkett and myself will be kind of tag teaming that as well. So we're really leaning on you all, as well as the committee and other leaders, to really get set up. We know you're perfectly capable and you're going to kill it. And we can't wait to come back after celebrating you all in tandem with HR to celebrate the overall staff at that Appreciation Day. If you have any questions, please reach out to the committee chairs who talk to later, President Burkett or myself. I'm so excited. And volunteer link will again be sent in that email. Let's see. Also remind your constituents that this is coming. Get them excited because it's going to be really fun. That is the first 2 parts. Any questions so far? Last time I did this, I did not take any time because I just wanted to make sure I said everything correctly. So I want to make sure. We're good? Okay. And last but not least, celebrations. Remember, anyone in Senate or online can send a shout out to be recognized during our general body meetings. You can contact anyone at any time on the executive committee. We love to shout out and support all staff, especially our senators here. I will start by shouting out a $10,000 donation that has been made from Founders Federal Credit Union, making them a premier sponsor of USC Staff Senate for the upcoming academic year. Shout out to Founders. That's a big deal. We are very, very grateful. And then again, we'll go towards the upcoming year of Staff Senate. I know you have lots of ideas and you can talk to me at orientation about that. Next celebration, I'm going to congratulate our equestrian team for winning the 2026. I want to also shout out all of our USC staff senators who are celebrating a variety of milestones this spring. We have some who have completed degrees, some who are expanding their families, some who have obtained promotions, and I will not call anyone out without their permission, but is there anyone who wants to share their milestones so that we can congratulate you and celebrate you? Yes.
I graduated my MPA.
Yeah. Graduated her MPA. Congratulations. Anyone else? Yes, Senator Watts.
Graduated with my master's degree.
Senator Watts. We'll go Ashford and then Cox. Can't see. I know your first name. Senator Ashford.
I just finished my first semester of my ED with 4.0.
First semester. Congratulations, Senator Ashford and Senator Cox.
I was just awarded an international award for parking and transportation. I am the 2026 IPMI Excellence of Operations.
Award in the realm of parking for Senator Cox. Anyone else? Yes,
I'll say this because I would get here from you.
you sure were.
And I won't be in staff appreciation day on Thursday, so I'm getting married on Saturday.
So we'll be getting married this weekend. All right, awesome. And if you are not someone who felt like sharing, we are so very proud of you and all of your accomplishments. And thank you to those who do share. Make sure you're congratulating your fellow senators and constituents on all the great things staff are doing, because it's kind of a lot if you weren't aware. All right. I do want to encourage you to continue celebrating those around you, whether through HR's initiative called Cocky Cards, which you can send online, or if you prefer a little handwritten note, we do also have our Staff Senate Garnet and Great cards, which we'll make sure to have at the next meeting because President Burkett owns those. All right, I am wrapping up the President's report. I invite you to remember, as is our motto for the year, to connect, empower, and lead. Next, I'd like to invite Treasurer Tuck to give her reports.
Hello, everybody. We've had a lot of stuff happening in Money World. Most of it's in our appreciation account. So we purchased the shirts that you all should have received today. So that came out, that was $580. Thank you, Michaela, for working with the company so that we could get an awesome discount. We also got promo items for Appreciation Day, which we mentioned the last time. One of those is the little hot cold pack that you have in front of you. So that was $4,532.72. Both of those have been submitted. Thank you, Jessica. Inflatable games we got for Appreciation Day, that has also been submitted. So that's adding into our rentals. And so the other kind of few things that we're expecting there, we got our last quote from Airmark. That's submitted after the event. So we have our quote, but we can't submit it yet. And then we're estimating Cocky and Cervix Spur. And then we also have some estimations for custodial, as well as anything Russell House fees, et cetera, happening in that account. So that's happening there. We are expecting a $38.51 check for the Chipotle Percent Night. Thank you, Scholarship and Fundraising. We appreciate you. We did walk over today that very large, very spooky $10,000 check. So that is with foundations. And so that will be updated next month. I think that's everything happening. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, jokes?
Thank you, Treasurer Chef. Now, for today, please welcome our first guest speaker, the newly elected USC Student Body President, Cole Rotondus.
Hi, everyone. Hope your day's going well. Very honored to be here to talk to you all about some things going on in my world, some things that I'm working with Anthony on about AEDs and an AED policy here on campus. And I'll just kind of give the student perspective on that because I know he's going to be presenting about it a little bit more in depth after me. So student government recently conducted a pilot CPR AED program with Campus Recreation. We were able to certify 20 students in CPR, AED, choking response, and then tourniquet usage. And after that, we put out a post-completion survey response. And the goal was to see were these trainings helping students in their emergency preparedness? And it kind of gives you a snapshot of the result of having AED accessibility and the policy and how that impacts campus safety. So we had a total of 16 student responses, and the outcome was extremely positive. I'll get into some of those details here. So 56.3% were on-campus students, 43.7% were off-campus. So we had a healthy mix of those two demographics. Students left the course feeling prepared. So 87.5% of participants reported feeling very prepared, 12.5% reported feeling somewhat prepared. No students left feeling that they didn't gain anything from the course. And before I go into the rest of this, I should probably tell you more of what the course entailed. So there was an online portion of it provided by the American Red Cross. This was the basics, getting the information that you needed to come into the in-person portion ready to go. We came in at about 9 o'clock. It was about an hour and a half training. We had 3 trainers in Campus Rec in their wet classroom, and they're all certified in AED and to train it. I think they're all lifeguards as well. But these were students who were training us, and I think that also helped with the willingness of students to participate. It was also obviously on campus in the Strom Thurmond Wellness Center. It was also free of charge. Student government covered the cost for the certification, so we wanted to eliminate that barrier. And then students walked away with real world training. There was no written exam. It was all hands-on, and those instructors were there to answer any questions. And they made the experience really fun for us, which I think was an important part. So the program reached students with and without prior training. 50% had previously been trained in CPR and AED, 50% had not. So we had some students that were a little bit ahead of the game and some students who were coming to us completely fresh. And I think that's what you're going to see on a wider campus implementation. You're going to have some students that have some kind of experience that might not need as much training as those who do not yet. And students strongly recommended the training. 100% of respondents indicated that they would recommend the training to a friend. And the most focused reasons was that it's on a convenient on-campus location. It was a free accessible opportunity, and we had informative instructors. And again, that student-to-student aspect improved that as well. So this is the important part, the student perspective about AEDs and its expansion on campus. Nearly every response supported increasing AED availability on campus, specifically in residence halls, academic buildings, dining halls, and high-traffic campus buildings, which we're severely lacking in right now. The on-campus location significantly improved participation. I kind of went through that. Some people said that they actually wouldn't have gone if it was off campus. So the fact that it was here at USC aided in that. And about 55% of our participants were freshmen who usually don't have means of transportation to get off campus. Having it on campus made me feel more inclined to sign up. And these are just things that we're trying to remove barriers so that everybody can participate in these trainings. We asked also how the certification improved the Carolina experience. Carolina experience is something that we here at USC really focus on. They said it increased their confidence, their ability to help fellow students. They felt safer on campus having had this training and knowing that other students are receiving it. And they felt a stronger sense of responsibility to respond in an emergency circumstance. So some key data points from a paper compiled by the Residence Hall Association, specifically one of their senators, Chandler Daly. They did a whole paper on this, and USC has 28 residence halls, and about 24% of USC students live on campus. So that's a good chunk of our student population. RHA examined 27 campus buildings, so these are not just residence halls, and only 7 buildings had an easily accessible AED, which means they could find it in 5 minutes or less. And 5 minutes is kind of that upper threshold of how quick you want to respond between the time that a person becomes unconscious and is having a heart attack and the time that you can get them that AED. 3 minutes is preferred. Currently, to RHA's knowledge, no residence hall has an AED, which is extremely problematic when you remember 24% of our students are living on campus. Conversations with residence assistants have been extremely positive. I've talked to about 15 of them now in the last 2 months. And what I've been getting is that they're willing to provide first aid care. They're willing to provide CPR. They're willing to administer AEDs. And many of them are already certified in these areas. The big detriment that they're facing is that they could possibly lose their job if they provide this care, because technically they're not supposed to be touching students in any capacity. They're instructed to instruct someone else to give this care. And, you know, when seconds count, emergency medical services are minutes away. So having RAs be empowered and allowed to give first aid care is extremely necessary. So what we in student government had started to do is look at ways that we can improve this. By having that CPR pilot program, we're looking to continue it in future semesters. We want to get investment from other departments at the university to try to reduce that cost as much as possible. I know I've been talking with a lot of our student senators, and we're looking at making a recommendation to increase AED access on campus. We want to endorse any policies that are made so that we can have a safer Carolina. And I think staff Senate support is extremely vital to pushing this initiative forward. It shows that not only are students behind this, but staff are behind this, faculty are behind this, and the entire university is united in pushing this safety goal. So I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention to this. I'm happy to answer any questions, any way I can give you the student perspective on any of these issues. Yes.
Senator Chambers and Athletics, good to see you again.
See you.
First of all, I commend you for having this be your platform. It's such an important topic and area to work on. And I'm excited to be working with you on this. In addition to RAs, have you thought about other student employees on campus as well? Just kind of lumping them into that.
Yeah, I think orientation leaders are definitely vitally important to have some kind of first aid response. Because not only are they showing future Gamecocks around, but they're showing their parents, their grandparents around. And if we're going to have these people, regardless if they're a student or not, on our campus, we should have people that can respond in an emergency. And then I think, you know, you could look at the Russell House workers, the people at the front desk. If there's an emergency within Russell House, if those people are able to respond, that's extremely important. And we're not expecting these students to be first responders. They're student employees. However, we should be giving them the opportunity, empowering them to respond in a first aid circumstance if they're willing and able, because it just increases the likelihood of survival for a student.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as like just a lay person, if they see an emergency, where are they gonna flock? A person at a front desk,
Right.
somebody that might know where something is or how they.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any other questions? Well, again, I appreciate your time. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. My email is just my last name with a C at the end and then @email.sc.edu. So I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have. So thank you so much.
Building off of that, well, first of all, thank you for coming. We're really excited to have you and hopefully partner with you and the whole initiative as a whole. as well as anything else that's on your agenda, student government, staff senate, and faculty senate. We love to work together. We are the university, the three of us, so, and executive leadership. Next, I'd like to invite Senator Anthony Brown to discuss this initiative that he is leading along with several campus leaders. So come on up.
All right, you can pull up the slides. All right, I'm Anthony Brown, as you know me, Division of IT. President Cole Rotondo.
Yes, sir.
And myself have been working on this. Kelsey's been jumping on this. Cami and Chris have all kind of jumped in as well. The whole point of what we're doing is we want to make sure that we have a proper policy established on campus. Do you have the slides? Can you, okay.
You can just put the arrow on the keyboard.
Oh, look at that. Wow. Yeah, all right. So, all right. So basically what we want to do is, we're collaborating obviously with student body. We're collaborating with, faculty, and their president. We've got support from them. We're trying to collaborate with as many groups as possible on campus. We want to be reachable in terms of AED. We want it to be functional and we want it to be known. I think those are the most important things that we need to make sure that we're doing. Because like you said, if like you go to the front desk and they don't know where something is, or we have an assumption that they know where to do, like get that AED, we need to make sure that it is actually there, that they're educated about it, and that the general public is also educated about it. As you saw, like a 3 to 5 minute drop to shock time. That is American Heart Association term, drop to shock. That just means times the person's down on the ground and conscious to the point when we get that hooked up to the AED and give them a shock. So the ideal time is 3 minutes. Each minute that's lost, you lose a percentage of getting them back. It's a 10% loss of life, essentially. So if I hit 10 minutes, I can't get you back. So obviously time is like super important. And what we're going to do is we're going to develop a policy and a program that we can initiate across campus. Hopefully we can get support both from the university, hopefully financially as well. Right now, the readiness is very different in every building. You've been in Close-Hipp, you've seen the AEDs that are at different locations. I think that if you go to any other campus areas like the library or Russell House or any of the buildings that you guys work in, some of you, if I ask you, how many of you guys know that you have an AED in place on campus in your building that you work in right now? So less than half. That's not a great number, right? We want to make sure that we've got better access. Even if you have one in your building, that doesn't mean you can get access in a realistic amount of time, right? So large and crowded buildings like Close-Hipp, we've had issues with the elevators and stuff like that here. There's a lot of volume of students at certain periods of time. Getting access to an elevator in general can take longer. So if there's one AED at, let's just say at the very bottom floor, and you need to get access to that, and it takes you 10 minutes to get down the elevator, and it takes you 7 minutes to hit the stairs, you're not going to get down there and get back up to respond to somebody here on the 8th floor. Unknown locations, we don't know where to find them. There's no like specific location that I should be able to go to right now and be able to find one. They're just kind of wherever they want. Part of that reason is because we've got siloed mentality in terms of what we're doing. So that means independent divisions, departments are all going out there and funding their own AEDs for their own division. That means they're putting them where they think is a good place for them to get access. That doesn't mean that it's something that everyone is educated about. So if I walk in as a faculty or staff member into a different area, or one of the students walks in and they're going from Darla Moore over to Close-Hipp, there's a different understanding of where those potentially could be, right? There's no standardization of that practice, and that's an issue. You should know that when you walk in a main entrance, you have accessibility to an AED at that location, or if there's a main front desk in a residence hall, that is at a minimum the one place you need to go to get access to that thing. If we standardize that, now you know where they are. It comes out with a simple marketing campaign, and now you know, right? And then that stays throughout the entire time they're there, and this continues on. So that creates a safer environment. We know how to respond. We know where to go. We know that the units are going to be the same across campus if we standardize those units. Maintenance ambiguity is important. We don't know if those people are testing those ones that have been installed on campus. Just because there's a box there doesn't mean it's operational, right? Delayed defibrillation, we already talked about how important that is. We know that right now, police and ambulance response time can vary. Obviously, depending on where you are on campus, construction, everything else is going on. We've got closed roads. That's going to vary depending on where you're at. If you're in the library on the first floor, that's going to take a lot longer for a campus PD unit to get there. But if you have somebody on site with an AED, you can get a response right away, right? You want to go over 1 minute matter and discuss a little bit more in terms of like how this builds out?
Yeah, so every minute that you are having a heart attack and you don't get that AED, your survival decreases by 10%. Like I said before, when seconds count, first responders are minutes away. So having an AED that's accessible, you know where it is, and you can get to is extremely important. My dad's a police officer, and one thing he tells me constantly is that you stoop to your lowest level of training in an emergency because everything's going wrong. You know, you're already in a stressful situation. And when you don't know where an AED is, you don't know if it's operational, you have all these uncertain factors that just adds to the uncertainty and the stress of the situation, which can cost time, and time means you're costing lives. So having AEDs that are at least 5 minutes away is extremely important, preferably 3, like the American Red Cross says. And that should be anywhere on campus. So anywhere I am on USC's grounds, I should be 3 to 5 minutes away from an AED, which means placing them in locations that are central. And, you know, having it in the lobby is a great first start. You want to get that initial investment, but then the goal is to expand that because if I'm a resident on the top floor of South Tower and I'm having an emergency, I have to get down all those stairs or elevator, or the elevator might not be in use. I have to grab the AED and go right back up. So hopefully this will be expanded further to include floor by floor AEDs.
Yeah, and right now, EMS arrival time can vary obviously by where they're located, like we discussed earlier, but you're looking at 7 to 10 minutes before an ambulance is arriving on the scene. If we're waiting on that, then we have a problem. CPD has AEDs in every single, the USC PD has an AED in every single one of their units, and they are trained with first aid AED and CPR. In fact, I just went through American Red Cross training with one of their other instructors, and it's good to know that they have those. And I think it's, 80 some units that they've got in their vehicles.
I believe so.
So, I mean, they've got good coverage on that end, but it still takes minutes for them to arrive. And if you only have so many in rotation that are responding to other things on campus, that still is going to increase your time till you get, dropped to shock essentially.
And one cool thing about Columbia Police is they just invested in 300 AEDs for their squad cars. So it shows just a broader investment of AED and first response materials that I think the university should follow up with.
Yeah, so I want to kind of give you like a heads up of why this kind of came about. So about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, whatever, I started over at Division of IT. I started as a first responder background as a firefighter. I went out and the first thing I saw was like, how are the first aid kits? They were not great. Everything was pretty much expired. We had AEDs, unfortunately, that didn't have batteries that were taken out of service. We had empty AED lockers or wall cabinets. That was an issue for me right away. I tried to fix that. Luckily, I had support from my CFO and CIO, and I was able to get funding to be able to procure the AEDs, resupply all of our first aid kits, and get fire extinguishers in every single vehicle. So I've overhauled all DOIT safety. What we also did was, as we're doing this return to campus initiative, what we found was we have a lot of different people. We have limited space available to us, right? What we've seen is a lot of us are getting parsed out into different buildings and sharing different locations. And since things are siloed out, unfortunately, there's not consistent coverage in terms of safety things like an AED, first aid kits, etc. I was looking at Thomas Cooper Library because I was over at the C to Z space and building that out on the 5th floor. And what ended up happening was I was doing a dry run trying to find out where an AED was because I needed to know if I needed to buy one. What I found was, unfortunately, I couldn't find one. I asked around and everybody kept pointing me in the same direction of the trauma kit. So there was a misidentification of what that had in it. It did not have an AED. It never will. AEDs are separate and they're packed separately, so you need to make sure you know that, and education needs to be done about that as well. I went to the facilities director, talked to them, found out where it was. I did a walking test. I walked up to the next staircase, directly one floor up to the main desk where it was located. Did talk to Anthony, trying to find it and locate everything, because I wasn't sure which front desk I was supposed to be going to, whether I was supposed to go into him or whether I was supposed to go into the very, very front desk by the check-in. I asked them where the AED was. They asked what an AED was. I had to explain what it was and what I needed. From that point, what they ended up doing was they said, I don't know where it is. They called teams. And this is not because of any issue with them, right? They just were not trained on how to identify things. They weren't trained about their situation. And the student didn't know. The senior person didn't know where the AED was located. They messaged teams. They called people on a regular landline and on Teams. And they couldn't get a hold of anybody at first to find out where it was. They pulled me into the back, so I came in and started looking for the AED and identified first aid kit. Then there it was, okay, hidden underneath of the desk. Again, not a fault of their own, but it's something that needs to be addressed. There needs to be proper labeling, right? There's usually an AED sign above it, a placard that identifies that AED. So that way, anybody walking into the building knows where to go. Right? And if there, again, was that standardization of where to go, we would know, right? We would go to that front desk because it's there at a minimum. But the other thing that we ran into was the time it took. So it was like 4 minutes and like 43 seconds before I would have gotten the unit and walked back down to the C to Z space one floor below. I'm an able-bodied person. I can take the stairs. What about the person that can't? They have to wait for an elevator. They wouldn't have met the timeline, right? So that became an issue for me. So then we walked through, I brought over their safety crew, we talked about it. We went over to Hollings next to look at their facility because they said, well, there's another AED over there. I was like, great. Okay. Do you think anybody at Starbucks knows that this AED is in this location? No. There's like 80 to 100 students lined up waiting for coffee, right? It's right during, like, I can't remember what time of year this was. This is right after that, the shooting occurred, the faux shooting thing that we had. Over at Thomas Cooper, so this was within about a month of that. At that point, we went over there, tried to identify it, went to the front desk. Nobody knew where it was. Luckily, the director was over there. They pointed us in the right direction. It was hidden back in the back. Again, not a fault of their own, but the bookshelves that are in there to house the books that are part of the collection block your view of the AED placard above the AED. We go down there, we walk down there. I said, you want to walk down there with me? He said, yeah, let's do this. So we walked down there and I said, has this been tested? He said, I don't know. I said, okay. I said, well, you mind if I take it out? Take it out. Pads were expired. Battery was within 6 months of being expired. And it pushed the button. I pushed the button, no light on it, of course. Didn't work. Flipped it over. Nobody pulled out the little plastic tab behind there to get it activated in the first place, which means that the last 5 years that it's been in there, it's never been tested. So that's an issue. So when we were talking about the maintenance of your units that are on campus, I think that's extremely important to understand that the testing of those and making sure that they are ready to go is our way not only to reduce the risk of liability, but also to ensure accurate, safe coverage for our environment, for our faculty, for our staff, for our students. So that all came from that. I did go and I talked to one of the persons that was actually over safety for them, and I asked them how important this was. I told him how important this was, and he said, believe me, for my last job, I actually had a heart attack while I was a firefighter, and now I'm doing this job. I said, well, this AED is important to you then. So I need to make sure that you guys are just aware of these things and making sure they're getting tested just like they should be. That's how all this kind of came about. Obviously, on each floor here, you've been at Thomas Cooper Library. I know Anthony has. But in terms of this, each floor is 1 acre, okay? So that's a lot of space to cover. That's a lot of bodies that can go in there in terms of students, faculty, and staff. And to be able to get coverage in that building, we're going to have to walk the space, but it's probably 1 to 2 per floor for an AED. Okay, so you're looking at, I mean, quite a few, obviously, not just one at the front desk and one at Hollins. In fact, there should be some subsurface at Hollins as well to make sure that the people that are working downstairs can get access to that. So basically, the main issue here is like a 3 to 5 minute shock to drop is not possible currently with the system that we have set up as the siloed infrastructure. Does anybody have any questions currently that I can address before we move on? Pretty good. Okay. All right. So what we've done is we went ahead and I've gone through and created a coalition or a collective. I don't think any person is greater than any other in this. I think the way that we do this is that we attack it from all sides, making sure that we get full buy-in from everyone, and then make sure that everybody is heard in some sort of capacity. So we brought in, obviously, faculty, staff, and student body. Governance, we've got housing now involved. We have the student health and well-being has been in with us as well. I've got legal counsel now from Elizabeth Hutto. We're bringing in people from athletics. We're bringing people in from recreation. We're bringing in the people that are specialized in this from environmental health and safety that do not have adequate funding for what they need to be able to be doing. And then facilities and event management. So we're trying to cover this from all different aspects. We also brought in the USC chief of police as well to make sure that they're aware of it. They already have some current direction with what they're doing, and I want to make sure they're on board with what we have and make sure they're aware of what policies we're trying to create. The American Heart Association has also jumped on with us. They're willing to do some financial support and fundraising for us if you want to do that and go down that end, whether it's just funding something for President Cole and his group and getting people trained, or whether it's a larger collective group of getting either AEDs funded or training or both. We can raise quite a bit of money because we have quite a bit of a large network from USC grads that are willing to come back and fund us again to help us get up to par with what we need to be doing for AED readiness. We also have Dr. Stacy Fritz, who came in from Arnold School of Health, and Connor Shaw has even stepped in. And once, as you well know from some of the other previous meetings that we've had, he wants to come in and give support as well for us. So what is everybody kind of doing? We're looking into benchmarking. So we're looking at case studies right now, trying to figure out like what everybody's generally doing. So we pooled all SEC groups. For the most part, everybody's doing a centralized oversight. That means one group that oversees the entire campus. That would be environmental health and safety more than likely. Not necessarily. We'll find out what I guess people want to do. Response time placement, we want to make sure that that's a standard. We want to make sure that we have standardized equipment. What does standardized equipment do? It makes it so we can all train on one type. And secondly, it can reduce the cost to entry. So someone like somebody in social work may not be able to afford a unit if they're buying additional units that maybe are potentially funded outside of what we're able to establish as a policy. So if they want more accurate coverage, that may be something we look into where it's funded by the department. But what we can do is we can centralize the purchasing. And if we do that, then we can gain economies of scale. So we buy at larger volumes at that point. We can pass on that savings to the divisions or the departments. So something that was unreachable before can become reachable for us. Because what's happening is if I go and buy one unit, I'm paying $2,200 for a unit. But if I buy 6 units, I can get them for $1,600. So it can make a lot more sense if we can gain that economies of scale from that end. It'll also standardize the AED on campus in general, because what that'll do is you'll be able to walk in, you'll be able to identify the AED, you've been trained on that AED, and you'll be able to use it more accurately rather than walking in and going from Darla Moore to Close-Hipp and coming up with a different AED. This is Phillips and this is all. So that will help with that. And then on the maintenance end, if environmental health and safety or one central oversight is over that, not only do we centralize the location of purchasing, but we can also centralize the maintenance aspect of things. So where you're going to get your pad replacements and your batteries, we carry one pad, we carry one battery, and then everybody can get their maintenance done from one site. It makes it more cost effective. It also makes it an easier deliverable task in terms of maintenance. So there's a lot of benefits to this. And then we can work on the readiness workflow, looking at monthly checks, who's doing those, annual services being performed by those individual environmental safety and health. And then post-use reporting would be documented by environmental safety and health as well in the event that we have to use one.
One thing I'd add to the standardized equipment is that when we did our pilot CPR AED program, they had the trainers, and some were a little bit different than others. And we found that a student who would go and use one device, and me included, go and use one device, get it down pat, be responsive in that time. If you use the other device, it's similar, but just the instructions might be a little different. The pad placement, although it's the same, like some may have specific instructions on where to place them. Some may actually be connected so you can't, really do it wrong. And then others that were a little older were different, did not have those same things. So it decreased the response time, and it could be by 30 seconds, but that 30 seconds matters a lot. So.
Yeah. And then so we're looking into like different elements of our policy here. We're going to have program oversight. We're going to have to deal with a placement standard. Where are we funding these from? How are we procuring them? The maintenance and inspection, as we discussed earlier, training awareness, as we discussed earlier with President Cole, and marketing, as we discussed earlier as well, and wayfinding. What does that mean for us? We can be putting essentially like a SKU or like a QR, like a code that you can read on the screen or on a location of an elevator, wherever you can find the map immediately and pull up and see exactly where the AED is. We could also post them on AED maps or some of the maps that we have already currently on site. You had suggested something earlier.
Yeah, so USCPD is rolling out the Carolina Safe app. It's the replacement to the Rave Guardian app, and they have a ton of different safety features within that. The feature I think would be amazing is right on the home screen in a big icon. It could be an AED emergency option. So you click it, and then as soon as you click it, it could use your location and give you instructions as to where the closest AED is. It'll pull up a map and be about 2 seconds instead of you having to look around, running around like a chicken with its head cut off trying to find an AED. You can just have it right on your phone.
Yeah, and so for liability risk too, we want to make sure and talk about obviously the, campaign of education. We can do CPR compressions only, as they talked about when American Heart Association was in here. That would at least give us an advantage for the people that are trained to use an AED. The wonderful thing about an AED though is they are literally designed for every single person, even lay persons that do not have any access to an AED, to be able to use. They have pictures, they got icons, they have lights that go off to let you know when you're supposed to do stuff, how you're supposed to do things. They're there for everyone to use, okay? And there are ways that you are protected as a citizen to go out and provide those accesses to provide any sort of first response care. You are protected as a citizen to do that in state law, so we're covered on that end. Again, legal counsel confirmed that as long as if they're needing AED, they're not conscious, so you have implied consent. Therefore, you can go ahead and interact with the person at that point, put on the AED. In the event of just first aid in general, you have to get consent from the person. But records and reporting are extremely important. It shows us, it would be a documented record that we've got of each AED being tested to ensure that if an event occurs and something goes faulty on the unit, that it was not due to the fact that we had a lack of maintenance. I think that's important to understand. And then post-reporting so we can reevaluate and determine whether the locations were accurate, or do we have accurate coverage? Do we need to do better? Self-reflection is always the best way to do things, so we can always try and fix what wasn't going right in the first place. Maintaining records is extremely important. Each individual AED has its own documented record on the inside of the unit. We can pull those up after an event has occurred, and you can see how often they're tested. So you may tell me that they're tested, but I can actually go in and find out if it's been tested. That in terms of liability could be a huge risk for us if we're not doing what we need to be doing. Now, obviously, we talked about central oversight. We did not talk about a site coordinator, but essentially what we could do based on some of what other universities have benchmarked on is create a site coordinator with a backup that would be taking care of those monthly checks, the readiness things, escalating things that need to come, like a battery needing to be replaced or pads needing to be replaced in a future point. Dealing with designation of owners and ownership of those units. And that may be something that's going to have to come down the pipe as we do this. And then maintaining access for everybody, that's including ADA. We need to make sure the facilities is trained properly in mounting all the cabinets, so that way we have all access. I've noticed some trauma kits are mounted up here and they don't meet requirements for ADA. So we need to make sure that they are accessible for all people. We need to make sure that essentially that we get as much endorsement from every one of our different entities that we have brought into this coalition. And we want to make sure that people are aware of what we're doing to make sure that this environment can be safe and that every single one of us can make it home at the end of the day, because that's what we want. All right, so we do, like, we talked about like placement standarding, like we could do mapping on that where we have like just placards or whatever, kind of similar to what we've got up here. Consistent cabinet design and consistent placards above those would make it so they're easy to identify, and also so you can differentiate them more easily from a trauma kit. Operational readiness, we talked about it. All these different aspects of procure, place, where to maintain it, and how to train people, and then the post review. And then you like implementation roadmap. This is potentially if we do a built-in phase with that organization, how they might go about that over a span of time. This is just an estimated timeline of what we might be able to get accomplished during these periods of time from 0 to 30 all the way through a year. And then there's always going to be that assessment period post to ensure that we're on the same tasks that we need to be doing. Again, reachable, functional, and known are primary here. We need you guys to be aware of the situation on campus, how there's a lack of centralization of that. And we need the support from you guys, from your individual divisions as well. And if you guys have ongoing concerns with that, we need to hear that from our committee or coalition or collective, or whatever. It's a group of people that care. And we're trying to get this done for you guys and gals and everybody in between. We want to make sure that you all have coverage. All right, so that's basically what we've got. I got sources too, just in case. But do you have questions? What questions do you have? I'm here to entertain. He can entertain too. So whatever you guys have is good with us. Yes.
Senator Vaughn, UIT. Not a question, just I participated in the certification one of the days that they did, the CPR and AED. I found it super interesting and helpful, and I feel a lot more prepared now. So definitely recommend it to anybody who hasn't done that.
It's good. Appreciate that. Yes.
Senator Luther, do you have any statistics on how many incidents have occurred where an AED was needed or was not available, or any incidents?
No, I don't have any statistics on that as of yet. But I know that obviously there's scenarios with different electrical use, like College of Engineering in particular would be a great place to have that where there's shock potential. But we did have a heart attack at 516 Main Street, DOIT, a few years ago before I started. And but he made it because the ambulance got there in time. So it's happens. Okay. We have had deaths on campus as of recent. The one in January that occurred because we didn't have anybody here, but would that person have been saved in the event that that was there? Not necessarily. But in the event where it is a heart attack or there's an arrhythmia of some kind that we can fix, then yes, we can potentially save a life. And I've used AEDs in real life. You don't always get the person back, but it gives you a better chance. I've provided CPR, I've done all that stuff. And anytime that there is a consistency behind whatever you're provided, when you have the right tool, it takes the guesswork out of what you're doing. And there are a lot of things going on, from a car flipped over, a car, house on fire, whatever you've got going on in the background, people screaming, everybody surrounded with your phones like going off, and you're trying to focus and do your task. You want as minimal changes as possible between what you've been trained on and that scenario. Like, you want to know where it is, you want to make it easy to gain access to, and you want it to be consistent with that grab. So I don't know if you've ever been in an emergency scenario, but there's a lot going on. And sometimes that's not the only emergency, but it's your emergency that you're working on.
I spoke to a young lady about 3 weeks ago who lives in 650 Lincoln, and she has a heart condition. And when I told her, these residence halls don't have AED, she was fairly concerned with that because she's had situations before where she's, maybe not exactly had a heart attack, but had complications to where she needed emergency medical care. So, and it's obviously not an isolated incident. We have these students on campus and, in our classrooms and our residence halls. So it's important to make sure they have the resources to keep them safe.
I think there's a reason too why athletics in particular has students who are the healthiest of us, right? Or assumed healthiest of us. And they need access to AEDs, right? We need all of our athletic staff to be trained in that stuff. Same thing with recreation. You've got people that are seeking out health, and sometimes it's new for some of them. Sometimes they're at a higher level of things. You've got higher amounts of stress that they're dealing with in life. This may be the first time they've been out of the house. Now they've got that plus their scholarship on the line, and they're trying to compete, and they've got schoolwork. Stress is all-time high. They need access and things like that to make sure that they can continue to function in a healthy fashion and get the access they need for safety. Kelsey?
Just one thing to note on just activating EMS and why this is just so vital for us on campus is, as much as we like to think our proximity to Prisma and Lexington and USC, as somebody who's had to call EMS several times because I work in the athletic department, the response time is actually a lot longer than you'd realize. It's at least 11 minutes. So if you don't have access to an AED and you have somebody in cardiac arrest, you're already beyond that point. And so it's that much harder to save the person. So, I mean, that's with perfect circumstances where they have roughly their average amount of responses that they have to do. If there is a mass casualty event, if there's any sort of event, like similarly with what happened at Schramm recently, where multiple jurisdictions of police are flocking to one area, it increases that response time tremendously. So this is just, albeit that much more important.
Sure.
We'll have time for one more question if that's time.
Sir. So relates to Bears. Thank you both for that technical. Appreciate your leadership in this regard. Out of curiosity, when you've looked at these different benchmarks that you've done, have these other universities who are creating the more centralized, consistent systems that you're advocating for here, has that been because of similar efforts to what you're doing here, like a single reckoning that took it from just this is kind of how it's been and no one's really done anything about it to, oh, hey, let's wake up and fix this?
Yeah, how many times have we heard that one? We always did it this way. No, Georgia Southern would be a good example of that. They had a student, I think in 2013, had a heart attack, died on campus, needed an AED access, didn't have one. And that was at the College of Business. Since then, the family funded an AED for the College of Business over there at Georgia Southern, and they also funded one at the fraternity where he was at. That led the Georgia Southern down a path of trying to fund that. So what they did was they took extra capital funds at the end of the year that were unexpended and put those towards purchasing and getting them in every single building at a minimum of one. And then what they're doing is they're shoring it up based on after that first year and second year run, third year run of that, they're continually sweeping through using those extra funds at the end of the year to support that through maintenance, and then also acquiring more as they're expanding their university. But that was the impetus to that occurring. And that is what seems to be going on outside of that. I don't know if it's just Georgia Southern, but I know that other organizations are looking at that as, we've got people in elementary education with the Smart Heart Act. That means that they need to be educated in first aid, CPR, and AED. We can get them a leg up on that. We can reach out to them. We can also reach out to nursing and doctor students going out for their PhD and getting them certified in advance, or if they're not already, but incorporating them into this plan and giving them like a leg up going out into the workforce, education-wise, especially in elementary schools. It will become a mandate that they have to have that. So they'll have AEDs at every single elementary and high school. So we need to make sure that they're trained, and that would just be a better way for us to care for our student population and support them as they're moving on into their professional career. So thank you.
both so
Yeah,
very
appreciate
much.
it.
For those of you who may have additional questions or things that come up, you have access to Senator Brown, and of course, we will share President Cole's email as well. This is an ongoing effort, so the conversation does not need to stop today, even if we are moving on to our committee reports. Everyone on campus has a heart, staff, faculty, and students, so this is a great thing. We're very proud of those who are participating and looking forward to keeping the initiative going. Now we will move on to our reports of our committee. So I'll invite the chairs or co-chairs from each committee to come up and share any information or updates on their committee, beginning with membership.
Hello, everyone. Just one update from the membership committee. I want to thank everybody who encouraged their constituents to vote and congratulate our newly elected senators from each division. So let's get everybody around with applause. Yeah, really excited to welcome some new senators. Everybody should have gotten an email. All the new senators should have gotten an email from Jessica Mackey with the link and the information for the orientation that's happening in June, and a link asking them to rank their interest in committees. So if you have a constituent or someone in your unit that was elected and they haven't received that, just let us know. But they should have received that. And so definitely reach out to these people, welcome them. We're excited that we are growing. And for those that are rolling off of the Senate, we're sad to see you go. But yeah, so thank you from the membership committee.
Communications.
Afternoon. Just two quick things today. One is just like many of the other committees, I assume we're working on our executive summary for our committee this month, and keep an eye out for a Staff Appreciation Day recap article that'll be after Staff Appreciation Day, since it's a recap. And if you are looking especially photogenic or something, maybe you'll be in the picture that we shoot. So keep an eye out for photographers. That's it.
With staff policy and well-being. Committee.
Okay, yes, so follow up on the Bright Horizons talk. We actually met with Carolina Amaro from Campus Services at Georgia Tech. We had a great conversation on how they do things there. And one important thing she sent us was a survey that they did. It was from 4 years ago. And so we were going to take that information and tailor it to, I know, another survey that we want to send out to get, better feedback, but we want to take those results. They had over 300 responses. So if we could get participation like that, that'd be great. But there'll be further information to come on that once we field through all that information.
Yeah, and to kind of capitalize on that, she did give us some really good insight to a lot of the questions that we had, that we saw as basically like speed bumps along the way that we're kind of anticipating. And so she gave us insight as to the funding that they were able to come up with for the essentially like the stipends that they offer to people. So they had basically an allotment of $150,000, and they divvied that up into 12 different stipends. So it actually provided a lot of help to a lot of different people on campus. So we thought that was really excellent. Okay. Emily Cato had some updates for employee well-being. So the May newsletter is up. There's a lot of events going on throughout May and June. May also is Mental Health Awareness Month. So there's a lot of info on that. There's some different events regarding like stress management and things of that nature. So that's all on the website and within the newsletter. Anthony already talked about all the AED stuff, so we won't touch on that anymore. And then some updates from 1600 Hampton. Their new water filtration system was installed, so we're really stoked that Lydia kind of spearheaded that.
And the parking lot issues are now slated for repairs, so that is forthcoming very soon. So yay, 1,600 hands.
Good job. The water tastes great, by the way.
And then Hadley's also working on a parking survey. Yes, yet another survey. But we're working through some issues with parking on campus as well.
That's all we have.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Professional Development Committee.
Good afternoon.
Hello, everybody. So first of all, thank you, Vice President Reid, for the shout out to our AI Basics for Staff series that we've got coming up. I'm really, really happy with what we've seen in terms of interest thus far. I think it's kind of blown all of our expectations out of the water. As of right before this meeting, we've received signups from 166 unique unique staff members from across our campus as well as the system. I saw at least one USC Upstate email in there as well. So it's really getting some great broad reach from all the different platforms that it's entered. So major shout out to all of you for your help, the comms committee, as well as our friends over in Do It and the AI educators have done a great job championing this. So a couple of pieces of information for y'all. Right now, we are capped for our capacity for in-person attendance at our first session, which is coming up next Thursday, May 21st. All of these sessions are third Thursdays of the month for the next 3 months at 1 to 2 p.m. We'll be in Russell House 305 next week, 322 for the other two. But again, we have reached our capacity for that room. So all of the registrations that we're getting for these last couple of days will be for virtual. We have also sent out some subsequent surveys to those who responded really early before our form had the level of discernment that it needed. And we're getting quite a bit of virtual attendance that I think might actually tip us back in the direction of having some freer seats in person. So stay tuned on that, but thank you for entertaining our barrage of communication that you will hear inevitably at some point about who is going where, what's going on, but it's going to be a great time. And hopefully, again, you can join us even if you haven't signed up virtually is open. Any further thoughts on any of that?
No, that was good. Great.
Okay. And we will be clarifying as well later on as we get closer to our second and our third series. You don't have to be a part of all three. You can come to any one that you want. I think a lot of people are doing 2 and 3 because of different things next week, and quite a few are doing all 3 as well.
Yep, 100%. And so for our PD spotlight for this month, we wanted to shout out the continuing education office. We had the pleasure to speak with Hillary Brannon, who leads things over there, and talk about all the professional development opportunities that they have for us as staff and faculty members, but also for your babies. So just to name a couple of quick things. They have 8 to 10 certificate programs that you can sign up for. We as faculty and staff members get 10% off on everything that they offer except for conferences. So definitely take advantage of that. Get your certifications, your training in when you can. Also super cool, didn't know about this. They have something called Carolina Classrooms where you can learn about a personal interest. So right now they have classes on mahjong, I think cold brewing coffee, like anything that you can imagine. This is also something that you guys as staff members can teach. You can reach out to them with any idea of the class that you have. Me personally, I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I like Pokemon. I was like, oh, could I teach a class about Pokemon? And they were like, absolutely, we would love it. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want some experience coming up with curriculum, teaching, an amazing professional development opportunity for all of us. So definitely check out their website. You may see some classes that you like. Basket weaving is up there. They're pretty reasonable on the price. Highly recommend. There's also lots and lots of camps for your kids. So for rising 6th through 12th graders, it's a week in the summertime. They can't find this stuff anywhere else. That's going to be the Master Scholars Program. It's still open for registration. You get a discount being a faculty or staff member. So super, super awesome opportunity for you guys. The last thing I'm going to say, nope, that's it. So any questions about that, you can reach out to us. We'll probably just direct you to Continuing Ed, but lots of great stuff there. So shout out to Continuing Education for all the PD opportunities.
We're I think on the 5th floor of this building. I know they're located in this building because they also run all this space, including the auditorium that we're in right now. So great group of people to work with. Just one other quick point about the AI series. We're going to make sure that one of us or our PD committee members are at all of those workshops to introduce it and to kind of give a plug to Staff Senate in those moments to make sure people know that we were part of the brains behind this. So hopefully that can brand us and give us some even more credibility, staff-wide and fly. Cool.
Next up is community projects.
I would say a big thank you to everybody for bringing in their can taps. We will be turning these into Ronald McDonald House in the first week of June.
June 4th.
June 4th.
Yes.
So if you still have some you haven't turned in, contact Amanda or I. You can bring them to 1600 Hampton before June the 4th. And we'll be turning those in, and we're working on our wrap up of our subcommittee.
Yes. Also, we didn't have anybody sign up for the Ronald McDonald meal, so we're just going to turn in the pull tabs, and then we'll reconvene on that when we come back. That's all. Great. Thank you. Bylaws.
Due to time, we'll just submit our report through the minutes because there is a lot of business that needs to happen for revisions later.
Staff appreciation and recognition. You have any update?
Okay, if I were to describe how I feel right about now, it would be a combination of excitement and absolute terror. But in a good way, I guess, because we've been planning and having wonderful meetings the entire year, and it's all coming to fruition on Thursday. And we are so grateful for all of you to be willing to help, and we need your help because Thursday is going to be so many logistics that we don't want any of the other staff to see. If we do our job on Thursday, even though it would be a hot mess for us because it would be this to take care of, this, take care of this, they won't see any of it. And that's the goal, is for the staff to have the best possible time on Thursday. And y'all are members of the staff as well, so hopefully everybody here will also have a great time. But we just want to make sure that we really do show how much we appreciate this great staff that we have. Senator Tails, if you want to get some updates on.
With that,
Yeah.
thank you all for signing up for a few volunteer slots today. If you haven't been able to sign up yet, refer back in a previous email from President Burkett. We have a few slots still open for managing the inflatable games. I think Brian needs one more MC help who's just there to make sure he is cool.
Doesn't
Bring him
pass
over. Maybe you get to have the mic for a minute if you're nice.
Maybe so.
You know. And a few other things like that of just making sure the slots are filled for volunteers. If you are volunteer, hopefully all of you will be there. We do want you to wear your shirts that you got today. We did do those by the sizes you submitted. If something is off, let us know before you leave, because it could have been the user error in placing the shirt on your table. And then when you come in on Thursday, check in at the merch tent. We'll send out the layout shortly of where the merch tent will be for giveaways. But myself will be there along with some other senators, so we can tell you exactly where you need to go to help in your volunteer time that you signed up for. And again, we'll send those out as a reminder, but it is a public link. So if you do need to go change your sign up time, sign up earlier or later, feel free to do so. But each of the committee members are all over a certain element of that. So setting up or distributing merch or decorating or whatnot. So you can also reach out to that committee member if you have questions. And then, yeah, we'll send out an email with those volunteer list. The layout, the big layout update is we are actually going to serve lunch out of Garnet Station, so the new dining hall under Russell, or first floor of Russell House. So we will have all the nacho bar and corn dogs in there. They've donated soda to us this year, so we will have fountain drinks for soda. But
the cookies and popcorn will be out on Davis Field. The music will be out on Davis Field and inflatables on Green Street. So a little bit more spread out, but we should not get any comments about coleslaw not being on ice. And we're not even having coleslaw, so we really shouldn't get any. I think that was.
I had Senator Cox, thank you so much for all the gifts, all the that we got from the parking. Amazing prizes. I mean, like just it's 5 times the amount of what we offered last year as far as parking is concerned. So every time it was like more and more. Senator Vaughn was able to get was able to secure a lot of great outside businesses. So appreciate that. Senator White was able to get so many things from athletics. So the big prizes are there. I didn't know if anybody had donated gift cards or anything. So, or if we've done anything.
Oh yeah, if we do have, I see Senator Derrick has a gift card. If you do have a gift card, feel free to pass it on up. If you forgot, you can always bring one day of, and we'll add it to the pot. But we'll be doing the smaller giveaways. Amanda does have a sheet that we will sign if you do donate for tax purposes. But the smaller items and the merch from athletics, like they did some t-shirts and bags and such, those will be given away at 12:30 and 1. And then we're calling them the grand prizes, so all the parking, and then also some athletic event giveaways. So it's like going to the 2001 game experience and such like that. Will be at a 1:30 drawing. And different this year, you do not have to be present to win, but we will be having a virtual check-in QR code register for prizes, way to capture everyone this year.
And a cool thing about the QR code for the prizes is it also allows you to shout out to other staff members. So if people want to do a shout out to a staff member, they could do that in the same QR code they do the prize. Is this table good for the gift cards? Maybe. Okay, so if you do have a gift card, just leave it up here, and then if you make sure to check Senator Tuck as far as for tax purposes. Anything else? Okay. We're excited. It's going to be awesome. Thank you. Oh, okay. Yes, questions. Yeah.
Is there any kind of flyer or more detailed communication that I can send out as a reminder to my constituents?
You can forward the email we sent out as a reminder a few weeks ago, but besides that, that's about all there is. Or there's been multiple USC today mentioned, so we didn't do a designated flyer. We did a digital sign, but the email probably has all they need. Yes.
Sorry, Senator Brown, DUIT. So are you going to send out something day of, just as like the day of reminder from USC Today or anything?
We will send out a reminder tomorrow in tomorrow's USC Today because it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday email. So we'll have a reminder tomorrow that says, don't forget that Appreciation Day is tomorrow. But it'll be on Wednesday.
If your constituents did not RSVP, they can still come on Thursday. And that's not necessary to get the prizes or whatever. They can still be eligible for those. So if they didn't RSVP, they can still show up. We've got enough food for people over the number that RSVP.
Is there anywhere where it is actually posted a location and time?
On the Staff Senate website.
If I checked the Staff Senate website, it did not say a location.
On the Staff Appreciation Day tab on the Staff Senate website. Okay, we'll get Emily or Tom to make sure that's updated soon.
We got updated today. I feel like we were kind of waiting for this final location. I remember the last meeting was still a little up in the air as to exactly where it would be. So we're having to get that updated.
Basically, make your way to Green Street and you'll see us.
On the Staff Appreciation Day website, under the RSVP, it does say where the location is. So as long as that's still open, it does say Davis Field and Russell House. So feel free to screenshot and send that to your constituents as well, even though it's technically in the RSVP and not the full page until it's updated. But I know Emily and Tom and friends will get on that soon.
Other questions? Okay, looking forward to Thursday.
Last but certainly not least, scholarship and fundraising.
Tomorrow, not tomorrow, Thursday, I don't know what day it is.
We will have our auction and our book sale. Auction's gonna be a little bit smaller this year because we're having a book sale too. So please stop by, check stuff out, put in a bid, donate for some books. We raised $35 with the Chipotle night. I think that maybe the word did not get out as much as we would have hoped. So please realize that when it comes to fundraising efforts, communication is everything. So you guys are our lifeline to the staff. So please, please, do what you can to communicate our fundraising events. But any money's better than no money. So I consider it a success. It's not a failure. But yeah, so we'll be at Appreciation Day with lots and lots of books.
With that, we are running a little bit short on time, so Parliamentarian McCormick, you are next on the agenda. However you want to do this, you're welcome to. Maybe we do first read or just second read, but you can make that decision. Or we can pay attention and she can read fast. Whatever you do.
I don't think there's gonna be many questions.
Thanks.
Okay, so these items, these next bit of items were presented at our last meeting, and now I'm bringing them to the body for discussion and vote. So the next set is Article 7 and the committee's second read. So the first bylaws update is for communications. And we are removing specific division specific language and better reflecting the current work. So the current bylaw reads, the purpose of the Communications Committee is to relay the activities and contributions of the Staff Senate to all university staff, as well as work to improve communication efforts across campus. The Communications Committee will be responsible for providing Staff Senate updates to University's Office of Communications and Public Affairs, or their designee for website updates and staff communications. On this next section, I've highlighted, struck out, and bolded what we've added. And this is how it reads, clean. The purpose of the Communications Committee is to relay the activities and contributions of the Staff Senate to all university staff, as well as work to improve communication efforts across campus. The committee is also responsible for updating the Staff Senate website and leading communications efforts for Staff Senate initiatives like Staff Appreciation Day and volunteer opportunities. So at this time, does anyone have any questions? Okay. So we will move this to a vote. Or do I have anybody to make a motion to move this to a vote? Okay, Senator Hewlett and a second, Senator Harmon. Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. All those opposed, nay or no? Okay. Any or abstentions? Okay. So this motion passes as presented. The next committee update is community projects and committee, and this is ensuring consistent language or in the committee naming. So the community project committee will be focused on enhancing staff experiences through campus and community outreach. The committee will create opportunities for staff to get involved and have a positive impact on the Great Carolina and Columbia community. The updated bylaws change is with the updated title, the Community Projects Committee is designated to enriching the staff experience through collaboration, service, and outreach within the Carolina and Columbia communities. The committee provides opportunities for staff to connect, serve, and make a lasting impact. Do we have any questions? Seeing that there are none, all those in favor of the bylaws update, please say aye. Oh, did you, do we have a motion? I have Senator Brown and Senator Hewlett makes a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? Okay, this motion passes. Professional Development Committee. The reasoning for this is broadening the scope beyond a single advisory relationship and increasing collaboration across campus. So the current bylaws reads as the Professional Development Committee will develop recommendations about programs for employee training and professional development. The committee serves as an advisory committee to the Office of Organizational and Professional Development. Updated, the Professional Development Committee will collaborate with partners across the university to strengthen and expand professional development opportunities through employee training, workshops, and we have an extra and academic career experiences. The committee will advocate for accessible and inclusive professional development for all staff and will encourage ongoing conversations around upward mobility, career growth, and advanced education with the goal of enhancing the overall staff experience. Sure. Okay. Collaborate with partners across the university to strengthen and expand professional development opportunities, employee training, workshops, and academic and career experiences. This is how it's supposed to read if I have an extra word on there. Are there any questions? Do we have a motion to vote? That was Senator Hewlett for first and Senator Miles seconded. All those in favor? Okay. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. This motion passes. Okay. Do you want me to email this? Yeah. Okay. We will email this, but I will give an update and then Senator Richardson will actually present this as a second read at the June meeting since I will actually not be here. But at next month, I will email, we're updating the membership committee and ex officio members. Those are the two bylaws updates that I will email out to staff senate. And that will be a first read via email and vote on at the June bylaws meeting.
With the conclusion of the business portion of the meeting, the floor is now open for any updates, announcements, notices, anything for the good of the order. Do we have any of those? Yes, Senator Luther.
I just wanted to recognize two of our newly elected senators, Cosby, College of Arts and Science, and thank you for the all.
Anyone else? With no other announcements or points for the good of the order, we will move to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Fuller first. Is there a second? Senator Annan, thank you so much. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Thank you. The ayes have it. The staff senate stands in adjournment until Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. Bang, gavel.